Don't tell me there's another dead person. Then we hear bang, bang. Be careful, Jason. Whoa, I didn't see you there. I thought you were a statue or something. Approach the dragon. Approach the Durg. That's simply not true. You know it, and I know it. I just don't get why you can't be honest with me, even when you know no one else is listening. Okay, so Supper and welcome back to Angels with Scaly Wings. Where we left off from, well, the previous investigation. And when Maverick stopped us and wanted to, well, ask, answers why. Actually, I don't know why, but hey. So, now, as I looked at the status of this whole thing, we're at the second page, Hope. And we met with Anna and Nadine. And I remember the mailman, what was his name? Lorem. And he wanted to talk with me a long while ago, like when we started the first episode. So I kind of feel bad for this guy, so you know what, let's go talk with him, and then we'll possibly talk with Adine, because, well, I like Adine. She's good. Anna's a bit sassy, right? Annoying, but Adine, good. Remy is decent. Bryce, also decent. Lorem, let's give him a shot, because we have to talk with him. I went to the bar Lorem had suggested as our meeting place. When I looked around, I saw Bryce sitting at a table, talking to someone I couldn't see. I lingered on him for a second, but soon spotted Lorem in the corner of my eye. There you are! Hey, Lorem. My records indicate you have already experienced this section in a satisfactory manner. If you wish, we could skip sections like these which you have already cleared before. Oh yeah, funny thing is, I tried to record this yesterday, and shit went wrong. So yeah, I'm here recording this again. No need to read everything again. Isn't that great? How is this different from just using a skip button like Control and Tab, you might ask? Well, here's the deal. Using the skip button can be tedious, especially when encountering puzzles you've already solved before, or when faced with long dialogue trees. Sometimes it's just easier to jump over a whole section than speeding it up, you know? So, during relevant sections, I will come in and ask if you don't want to just outright jump ahead. Sounds good so far? Anyway, there are times when you might still want to choose not to jump ahead like this and use the skip button as usual. That's totally fine. Both methods have their own advantages and disadvantages. Jumping ahead will often skip minor choices that can be made, especially during character sections with lots of dialogue options. This can include parts that would unlock new achievements. However, jumping ahead will never skip important choices that you have to make, such as those that could result in good endings or the choices you make during your investigations. It's up to you whether you want to use it or not, but it might save you some time. Either way, the choice is yours. Would you like to skip ahead? No. As you wish. Okay, this was odd. So yeah, I tried to record this previously and everything went haywire and I couldn't. Okay, so it's good to see you. I thought you might not show up. Am I late? Not at all. I got here early. I'm kinda surprised you wanted to meet me here. Don't take this the wrong way, but are you even old enough to drink? What are you talking about? Oh, I see. I can assure you I am a fully grown adult. My species doesn't get much bigger than this. Speaking of which, are you fully grown yet? How big do humans usually get, and how do you stack up, comparatively speaking? Oh, and would you mind if I took some notes? Before we get to that, you haven't even told me yet what exactly all this is for. Are you sure you're not a reporter? If I was, Sebastian wouldn't have let me meet you in the first place. And I thought the uniform was just a clever disguise. It's real though. Sebastian knows I work for the local post office. Excuse me, but this still doesn't really tell me anything about why I'm here. You're a postman who wants to interview me for what exactly? Sorry, I guess I got ahead of myself here. Maybe a full introduction is in order, and after that, you can still decide whether you want to go through with this or not. Sounds good to me. I recently graduated college with a degree in computing and moved in here with a good friend of mine. This town doesn't exactly offer the best opportunities to put my degree to good use, though. Then why move here in the first place? Living in the city can be very expensive. I can always move later when I get a job there. I got other plans right now, though. I'm working on a video game. A video game? Sounds interesting. Exactly. Video games and computers are just starting to catch on in places like this town. Maybe making good content will be very important to give a good first impression. And humans have already been part of our media. Books, movies, and now games. With you on our side, this could be an amazing opportunity. Well... oh, maybe this wasn't such a good idea after all. Why? I don't know. You don't seem so thrilled about doing this anymore. Besides, your job must be really stressful, and you're probably already in the spotlight all the time. And now, to top it all off, you get some postman harassing you for an interview. If you wanted to leave, I'd get that. Fuck that, I'm staying here. Well, I'm already here and have nothing else to do, so let's make the most of this. Yes, thank you. At least I won't have to be so careful now. With a reporter, I'd have to worry about things being misinterpreted or being taken out of context. You should still be careful. What you tell me now will influence how the entire species will be represented in my game. Don't worry though, I'll treat this delicate matter with the required finesse. I'm sure of it. How should we do this? Let me think. Why do you want to make this game in the first place? I've always wanted to make a video game. I've had this idea for a while and it seems now is the right time to do it. It's almost as if you arrived at the perfect moment. I don't know. Don't you think my visit will overshadow your efforts? People may not be so interested in playing a game about humans anymore if they had a real one show up. Good point, but the vast majority won't get to meet you personally anyway. If I say I did and modeled the humans in the game after you, people will flock to it to get a similar experience. Does that mean I'm going to be your game's mascot? I guess you could say so. Okay, but why focus on humans? What makes us so important? If there's one thing that people here love, it's humans. It doesn't matter if they just see them in the media or believe in them as mythical creatures. For me, humans were always real. I just didn't know whether I'd get a chance to meet one myself. I guess I can cross that one off the bucket list. Now that we're here, I can tell you that no expense will be spared to make our portrayal of humans as accurate as possible. You suddenly seem passionate about this. For good reason. I just love humans. If you say it like that, it actually ends up sounding pretty weird. Besides, what if I turn out to be a horrible person? What would you think about humans then? It wouldn't change anything because I wouldn't base my opinion of an entire species on interaction with a single individual. Then what is your current opinion of us based on? Just the myths we have, the previous portrayals of humans in our media, but I suppose that's why I'm here talking with you right now. I want the truth, and all of it. Telling you all of it might not be such a good idea. Oh yeah, guess that would take a lot more time than we have today. Anyway, what's the actual game about? What do you do? It's a community simulation game. It all starts with a player character moving into a procedurally generated community, which is inhabited by all kinds of mythical creatures, humans included. Mythical creatures like humans. Not only are the towns you move into unique, but the inhabitants are too. There are a variety of traits that get randomized, both in looks and personality. There are many things you can do, but it's very open-ended, and you can live your life there however you want to. Sounds like my kind of game. Oh, really? I couldn't ask for a better compliment than that. What other mythical creatures are there besides humans? I haven't worked that out yet, but humans alone give us a lot of material to work with. How so? The question of the mythical human can be tackled in a variety of ways. There are many different interpretations of what humans are like. For example, in general, the mythical human can be divided into 3 categories. Firstly, the human as a physical creature. Secondly, the human as a non-physical entity. And thirdly, the human as a spiritual being. Let's start with the physical aspect. Sure, since one of our myths tells us that the human who created us eventually turned into a dragon, there is a lot of room for interpretation as how similar humans actually are to dragons. I can see you don't have wings, but most of us are able to create fire in some way, or at least have a breath weapon. How about you? I don't have a breath weapon. I don't have a breath weapon unless you count my morning breath. I can rub 2 sticks together to make fire. Does that count? Of course, I can also move things with my mind. 2 sticks make fire. Not really. Having hands that are dexterous enough to do that is remarkable though. It is a bit strange though, because our myths also say that you gave that ability to us. Interesting. Maybe it's meant to be taken literally, meaning that when that ability was given to us, you lost it. Or maybe we never had it in the first place. Humans are known to have created a lot of things out of nothing. After all, we only needed to discover how to create and use fire, because we didn't have a natural ability to do so. We have a proverb that sums it up pretty well. What is it? Necessity is the mother of invention. So lack of natural abilities drove innovation forward. What an interesting thought. Here's another thing. You may have many different images of humans, but in the end, only one can be right. It's also possible that what you've been led to believe about humans doesn't actually refer to us at all. Are you implying that you aren't human? No, I'm just saying that if you really had been in contact with humans before, as your myths imply, they would need to belong to the same species as me, and thus be very similar to myself. If they aren't, then either they weren't humans at all, or have very different origins. So you say there is a possibility that our humans and your humans may be something different altogether. I suppose you are right in the way that our images of humans are very inconsistent. There certainly can't all be humans in the way that we would refer to a single species. The name should probably be reserved for yours. And we haven't even touched on the other 2 categories of humans. What did you call them again? Non-physical humans and spiritual humans. What's the difference? Honestly, the definition gets a bit muddled here. Going by conventional belief, a ghost could be a human who has died and thus changed into a different form. We would call that spiritual human. An angel, on the other hand, would be classified as a non-physical entity. What do you know about angels? Angels basically look like humans with wings. Their existence in ancient scripts was used to lend some credence to the theories about humans having become dragons. Because of the wings? Exactly. But some of your dragon species don't have wings either. Yes, as I said, once you start delving into that kind of stuff, it all becomes very convoluted. When we met, you also told me something about a 4-headed human. Right. With that we'd go into the realm of creatures that just don't make much sense at all. Having 4 heads just seems unlikely for an evolutionary perspective. That might not really matter if we were talking about a non-physical entity or a spiritual being though. So in the end, you have a lot of different ideas who's only connected to each other is that you use the word human to describe them in some way. And they share at least some basic characteristics. You fit those as well, by the way. What are they? You certainly are not a reptile like us, but you don't look like a conventional mammal either. We are mammals, though. Yes, but you're so different from other mammals, we know that, ultimately, you are quite unique. We don't know any other sentient mammals. You've got a point there, I'll give you that. Strangely enough, we have plenty of human-like creatures in our mythologies as well. Oh, do tell! You already mentioned ghosts, but some other ones include dwarves, giants, fairies, and blemnius. I think I've heard of most of these before, but what is a blemnius? Actually, good question, what the fuck is a blemnius? Essentially, a blemnius is a human without a head. Oh, okay, got it. I'm gonna check it later, if it's true. A human without a head? How does that work? How do they eat? Instead of head, they just have all their facial features on their chest. That's a rather weird mental image. There are also a lot of half creatures that share some characteristics with humans and other animals. Damn it. Like merhumans? Yeah, sure. Lastly, there are creatures that are said to be able to shapeshift into human form. Strangely enough, some of our dragon myths say that they could shapeshift into humans, or that certain countries' royalty are descended from dragons. That would imply that they are genetically compatible with humans. I guess. Sounds rather outlandish if you ask me. We certainly can't shapeshift like that. I suppose that's why they're just myths. Right. To be fair, we do have a lot of myths that seem quite out there as well compared to what you're like. Anyway, how come you know so much about myths? All parts of being an ambassador. Not only did I learn about dragon myths in order to compare them to what you're like, but I also studied myths about creatures that are similar to humans, so I could find out how similar they were to yours. Well, you're doing an excellent job so far, and it's bound to help me a lot with my game as well. You're going to put all of that into the game? Let's just say it gives me some excellent material to work with. I thought you wanted to give an accurate portrayal of humans, not just collect myths. One species will certainly be modeled after you, but that doesn't mean we can't introduce some variety with the others. People will love it if we also bring some of the more unusual myths to life. I see. But since we also want each of the normal human characters to be unique, I'd like to know how much variety there really is within your species. I've seen Reza before, so comparing him to you already gives me a bit of an idea, but how far does these differences go exactly? When we arrived here, you asked me if I was old enough to drink. That leads me to believe that your average human must be a lot taller. That's true. You could say Reza would be above average for an adult. Not that it would be impossible to get a good deal bigger than him or even smaller than you, but those cases are rather rare and usually the results of medical conditions. I see. What about colors? Are there any humans who are blue like me? Not really. There is a certain spectrum of skin colors that can be lighter or darker, but so far I've seen a lot more variety in the dragons here. We have quite a number of different eye colors though. Interesting. As for things that aren't immediately visible, we also have different blood types, but I assume you know about that. We certainly have those as well. Some people even believe your blood type influences your personality. That, on the other hand, is news to me. Anything else you want to know? We already got so much. We'll have to think about if and how we can work all this into the game. Have you worked on any other games before? I worked on a few small projects during the course of my studies and also interned at the studio before. This is on a completely different level though. How so? It's my game, so I'm the one calling the shots here. It's a very different thing than just making a few graphics when you're the part of a bigger team, for sure. I see. How long exactly have you been working on this? Phew, must be several months now. I've got everything planned out and a lot of the groundwork has already been done. The most difficult things are the characters themselves, and to make sure all of the details are accurate. Of course. Shit, sorry. Have you shown the game to other people yet? Sure. Feedback is a very important part of the development progress, so I regularly gather ideas and opinions from others. I even made a website to do this. And what do they say? All kinds of things, really. Sometimes it's hard to decide which ones have a good point and which can be disregarded. Overall, it seems there are many people who are looking forward to playing my game, though. How many are we talking about? I don't know exactly. The counter on my website only tracks the numbers of visits, so I don't actually know how many different people are there. What if it doesn't work out? What do you mean? Well, you're investing a certain amount of time and money into making this game. Ideally, you would make back your investment and hopefully get some profit on top of that. If the goal is to make money, sure. However, I just wanted to try my hand at doing something like this. If some people are going to enjoy the end result, that's great. Don't forget that I'll also have made something that I can put on my resume. At the very least, it'll have been a good learning experience. With that attitude, I suppose you really don't have anything to lose. I can always look for another job and maybe I'll end up working at a game studio. But I think once I've started doing something like that, I might not get this opportunity again. So it's now or never, huh? In a nutshell, yes. And that all works out with your career job? Job. Okay. Sure, I can support myself this way and am not really under any pressure, since I don't have any deadlines to keep. Seems like you know what you're doing. I'd like to think so. What kind of tools are you using to make it? If I consider what some of your species look like, I'm having a hard time imagining how the bigger ones could program a game. While we do have devices tailored to each individual species, I can't deny that my dexterous hands make it a lot easier compared to some of the others. One downside is that I have to keep my nails short, or else using the keyboard gets a bit cumbersome. I imagine you'd have to be careful with those while working as a courier anyway. You're right about that. One wrong move and you're suddenly shredded the letter you were just going to hand to someone. That sounds unpleasant. Luckily, that kind of thing doesn't really happen to me anymore. Not only because the shorter nails, but once you've worked there for a while, you learn to be more careful. It's a bit sad not to have them as a natural letter opener anymore though. And it's not just for me. Some people ask me to open the letters for them, since doing that on their own can be difficult for some of the less dexterous and older ones. Have you been working as a career for long? I just got this job a few months ago, but I had a part-time summer job at the post office when I was growing up. My species is perfectly suited for the job, so they were glad to have me on board. I can see why. Of course, being able to fly is a big plus. My size means I can't deliver any big packages, but I often get assigned to urgent letters that have to be delivered as soon as possible. Huh, it's getting late. Maybe we should leave it at that for today. Yeah, I should probably head back to my apartment before it gets too dark. I got more than enough material to work with. Thanks a lot. Don't worry about it. I'll just consider it's a public service. Honestly, I'm incredibly grateful for the opportunity, especially after nearly getting denied by Sebastian when I met you. Just make the best of it. I certainly will. I really have to get going now, so maybe I'll see you some other time. Sure. Have a good night. Take care. Nothing going on today. Guess I can do whatever. Okay, so I have to go to the garden, so I'm gonna pause it right now. So if I don't come back, then well, this is gonna be the like the end of this episode where we talk with Lorem, who is not only a delivery man, but also he's working on the game. So on the previous recording, when I said at the start where it's fucked up, basically he said at the end that I should go to his place at some time because, well, he needs some kind of references about like humans, you know, something like that. So yeah, I think if I'll have time and if I possibly come back, I'm gonna talk with Lorem again to help him out with that. But at the same time, I think I should meet up with Adine again because I don't know. So yeah, or Remy or Bryce, I don't know, either one of them. So yeah, if I don't come back, continuing this, then uh, well, drop a like or dislike, do whatever you want because if you're happy, I'm happy. And yeah, oh, and remember, if your day was shit, don't worry, it's not the last day on Earth. But if I come back to record a continuation of talking either with Lorem or Adine, then just scratch it all off and just done. Okay, so I'm gonna see you later.